Yeah, hi everyone. I decided to kind of make a new video after posting about my surgical complications and other things, colostomy as well, that I had built in. Would you say built in? Almost now 2.5 years ago. As some of you, I guess, who watched my videos, you know that most of my problems, actually all of my problems, come from very misguided, violent birth that I suffered with my child 4.5 years ago here in Germany. I'm still quite very low with my German, so I cannot really talk about it in German. I feel like I will never really get to the level of the German language actually where I need to be in order to give a kind of clear account of everything that has happened to me. In the meantime, I also have had 2 surgeries for my bladder. Um, I think, I guess for most of you, you can find a lot of the info about prolapses and whatnot on mostly secret, kind of closed in groups because people, women more precisely, are more ashamed kind of to talk about it. And I'm not really ashamed. I'm just kind of, I would say, not really a video person in some ways. But yeah, I had a bladder lift in the meantime done. And also I undid my first surgery that is called levatorplasty over here in Germany. That both these surgeries combined brought some improvement, but just not enough to where I'm pressure and pain free. I still suffer from quite a lot of abdominal pain. So, bowel surgery has proven to be really the really most tough on me. And in some of my previous videos, I was super distressed about it. I'm more used to it now. I have pain medication and I manage it. I have super bad days with pain, like let's say yesterday, and then where I cannot eat at all, cannot get up, cannot actually really cannot get up from bed. I feel like being punched in the stomach over and over again. That's how it is when you kind of had one too many surgeries on your bowel and complications, and as a result you develop adhesions kind of that are super painful, not only really dangerous but super painful to live with. For some of us, not everybody develops this complication, but the general rule is the less surgery you have in your abdomen and anyways generally in life, the better. The bladder surgery, the bladder lift was not, I guess, perhaps so successful. I mean, it has been, but it's not enough to resolve all of my symptoms because I have an avulsion. And there has been a lot of, I guess, debating about it in groups with us, women. I really don't know how the story goes with the doctors. I really hope the birthing world will change for years to come. For me, definitely too late. But today I'm in a good headspace where I can, I guess, talk about it more clearly and with a little bit more of optimism. I guess you really, avulsion is basically a really important muscle of your pelvic floor being torn off the pubic bone. So basically, like most of us who suffer, if not all of us who suffer with prolapses, um, I have very little support for my pelvic organs from below. So the surgeon was able to kind of get in again through my lower pelvis, through abdomen. But not, it's a different anatomy. He wasn't touching where you need to go to get to the bladder. It's not nowhere near the bowel. So That's a really important thing for me, especially because I have a colostomy and have had so many complications with adhesions. And also I had like a total bowel obstruction because of them. I needed a surgery for that. I mean, and so on. That was a super traumatic experience over here in Germany because even though the German health system is pretty good, um, I do not say this lightly because I mean my birth happened here in Germany. I had a terrible team. I am totally convinced that my the doctors and the team were totally sociopathic. What they did to me was not supposed to be done. Um, and and yeah, so basically, yeah, the bladder surgery. So he was able to go through the lower uh, pelvis. He had to I had to have an open one. Well, when I say an open, it means like a um, the scar area is more like a C-section, perhaps a bit bigger. So he had to make like a C-section type of thing on my abdomen to reach the bladder. And it's called what's it called? It's called here in Germany it's called colpo suspension with lateral repair, or I think the closest translation to this in English would be a birch with paravaginal repair, where surgeon actually sews in the defect because the bladder in your pelvis, as you suffer from prolapse, bladder prolapse due to birth, um, gets detached from the connective tissue is totally broken at the place where the bladder is connected to your pelvic ligaments. So he sews that up with permanent sutures because you need permanent sutures for um, solid scar tissue to form. It's kind of like mesh but less invasive. At least I feel it that way because sutures, you don't feel them. Normally, you don't feel them. They just get absorbed very well in your tissue. You don't really suffer any pain with it, and very strong then scar tissue forms to support this repair. And so he sews up the defect and then he has to extend those sutures. I'm saying this because they explained it to me and I watched a YouTube video. So I'm kind of, if you can say, commonsensical about it. And then they extended those sutures and then suspend the bladder onto the pelvic ligament. So basically it stays in its place. But the surgeon cannot really do nothing for the pelvic floor. And up to date to this date, there hasn't been really much of credible research, even though some surgeons claim that they can kind of repair avulsions, whatever, but I don't really believe it. Because those are really massive damages that modern medicine to this day cannot repair to any kind of, I guess, success. Um, Perhaps in some very distant future when we develop more in terms of regenerative medicine, perhaps something like that. But basically the muscle gets, broken off the bone, or if it's not an avulsion, then like this kind of extreme stretching of the muscle of the pelvic floor is not something you can later on repair. This is one of the main reasons, and other reasons, of course, other tissues, ligaments throughout the pelvis get really damaged when the childbirth is not managed well, or when there is complications. And then you as a when you as a result suffer from some type of prolapse. Um, so I mean, to kind of conclude with it all, am I happy with my bladder surgery? Yes, it has improved some of the symptoms because I was not able to walk without a walker. I had like a lot of neuralgia type of pain, um a really weird type of feelings where I felt like I'm carrying a burning ball between my legs. So that feeling is definitely gone. However, I still have remaining pain in my urethra at the area where a avulsion is. I'm unable to, walk any distances, or to be on my feet, for hours and things like that. And um, as you simply don't have your pelvic floor, and pelvic floor is super very important because it supports you from below, so you can actually, walk those miles and, be on your feet those hours. And when you don't have it anymore, you simply can't. And my personal kind of misery, I guess, if you could call it like that, has been that I have been completely unable to wear pessary, which is a type of a vaginal prosthesis that you insert every day into your vagina, and then you leave it out in the evening, almost like dentures for your teeth, and that kind of suspends everything to where it's supposed to go, and helps you override in a way those pelvic floor injuries. Every anatomy is quite different, every damage is quite different. So um, you know um, everybody responds to surgery and pessary, or physio and things like that differently. What I could I guess mostly understand is that wherever you have anything up to grade 1, grade 1 is kind of pretty good place to be at for most of the women, because the damages are not so extensive, and you're not impacted in your everyday life quite heavily, and you can just kind of get away with pessary or without pessary to resume your daily activities and obviously other things. But everything that is larger or bigger than that tends to bring more damages and more symptoms in your everyday life. So I, for example, I raised my child well alone. I receive a lot of help. Obviously, my mom has been a great help for me, and then I got some help from other um, various kinds of administrations here in Germany, because I asked for it based on my diagnosis. It hasn't been easy because prolapse is not very well recognized, not even here in Germany. You really have to fight for it. Um, but yeah, I mean, this is kind of the place where I'm left at after all the surgeries. I had to lift my rectum, kolostoma to bring back the kind of function, uh, because my posterior pelvic floor is really as well badly damaged. And just lifting the rectum and resecting a part of bowel was not enough for me to use toilet, sadly. And then yeah, then the bladder lift and some of the other things. I had surgeries to resolve complications. Basically, I am in full disability retirement, mainly due to quite serious abdominal pain that is totally unpredictable. So I cannot really hold a steady job, or like I have a steady activity, in terms of work. But as well with my child, how I do, or like how I cope now. I made one of the videos there on YouTube that kind of shows our daily routine, and my child is now like a lot older, so it's a lot easier. He's almost 5. So for example, if I'm having a super bad day and I cannot get up on my feet for whatever reason, then I simply sit down. I'd read or knit until I'm able to get up again, and he sort of plays around me, or I, so to say, inactively can as well play that way with him. Needless to say, he has watched a lot of TV, but he's also at that place where he can just as well, play on his own while mommy gets a bit better, whereas mommy can play with me, or to the place where we can just resume a little bit about our day and stuff. I'm definitely grateful to be kind of alive, because the complications I have had have been quite, massive in terms of how I perceive them, and in terms of pain and symptoms. But at least my child has a mother. uh, Pelvic floor surgery is quite harsh. It's quite hard, and uh, anyways, I recommend anybody who can get away without it would be good. Like, just to use your pessary and get about your day would be a great thing. I'll talk more about everything in my next video. So that's all for today. And if you have any questions, you can just like post below or whatever. Thanks, you guys, and see you next time.